The echoes of the quarry. It was a night cloaked in an unnatural stillness, as if the very air in the town of Hollow Creek dared not stir. For decades, rumors about the abandoned rock quarry just beyond the forest had circulated. Whispers of strange lights, eerie sounds, and the sudden disappearance of anyone foolish enough to venture near. Locals called it the Hollow Pit, a place where the earth swallowed not just rock, but souls. Maya didn't believe in ghost stories, but she loved the thrill of a challenge. When her two friends, Gavin and Luke, dared her to spend the night at the quarry, she shrugged and accepted. The $500 they pooled together didn't hurt either. "It's just a bunch of old rocks," Maya scoffed, adjusting the flashlight strapped to her wrist. The trio set out under the pale glow of a crescent moon. The quarry loomed at the edge of the forest like an open wound in the earth. Massive, jagged cliffs encircled the pit, their blackened faces glinting faintly in the moonlight. The air grew colder as they approached, carrying with it a faint metallic tang that clung to the back of their throats. "You hear that?" Gavin stopped, craning his neck. They all listened. At first it was just the sound of the wind whistling through the trees. But then came the faintest echo of something deeper. A low hum, rhythmic and unnatural. "It's probably the wind bouncing off the rocks," Maya said, though her voice wavered slightly. The group descended the worn path into the heart of the quarry. The deeper they went, the more oppressive the air felt. The walls of the pit seemed to close in, and the moonlight above was swallowed by shadows. At the bottom, they found an eerie stillness. The quarry floor was littered with chunks of stone and rusted equipment, remnants of the workers who had once toiled there. "This isn't so bad," Luke said, but his laugh was nervous. Maya set up a small camping lantern and checked her watch. "We just have to last until sunrise," she said. But as the hours crept by, the quarry's silence was replaced by something far more disturbing. First came the whispers, soft and indistinct, as if carried on an invisible breeze. Then the shadows began to shift, elongating and curling in unnatural ways. Gavin was the first to crack. "Okay, this isn't funny anymore," he said, his voice trembling. "Who's out there?" "No one's out there," Maya said firmly, though her heart pounded against her ribs. She didn't believe in ghosts, but she couldn't deny the growing sense of unease. Luke, clutching a crowbar he'd found among the debris, shone his flashlight toward the edge of the pit. The beam caught something, movement. "There!" he shouted. All three of them turned their lights in the same direction. For a moment, they saw nothing. And then it appeared, a figure, hunched and pale, scuttling along the jagged rock wall like a spider. "What the hell is that?" Gavin screamed. Before anyone could answer, the figure disappeared, melting into the darkness. "That's it, I'm out of here," Gavin said, scrambling to his feet. But as he turned to climb the path, the ground beneath him seemed to shift. A deep guttural groan echoed through the quarry, and the earth trembled. Rocks tumbled from the cliffs, forcing them to scatter. "This place is alive," Maya whispered, barely audible over the rumble. From the shadows emerged a chorus of whispers, growing louder and more distinct. They weren't voices, they were screams, overlapping cries of anguish that reverberated off the walls. The air grew thick with the scent of sulfur, and the metallic tang in their throats turned bitter. "We need to leave. Now," Maya said, grabbing Gavin and Luke. But the path they had descended on was gone, replaced by a jagged cliff face. "How is that possible?" Luke stammered. Panic set in as the trio realized they were trapped. The lantern's light flickered, casting erratic shadows. In one of those fleeting moments, Maya saw them, figures, dozens of them, their eyes hollow, their mouths open in eternal screams. They emerged from the walls, their forms translucent but dripping with malice. "The workers!" Maya gasped. "What?" Gavin cried. "The workers who died here, they're still here. They're trapped." The quarry had a dark history, one the locals rarely spoke of. Years ago, a collapse had buried an entire shift of miners alive. The company had abandoned the site, leaving the bodies to rot in the dark. "Why are they coming after us?" Luke yelled, swinging his crowbar wildly at the encroaching apparitions. Maya's mind raced. "Because we disturbed them," she said. The whispers grew louder, almost deafening, and the figures closed in. One of them reached for Gavin, its skeletal hand passing through his chest. He screamed, his body convulsing as if gripped by an unseen force. "Gavin!" Maya cried, but there was nothing she could do. Luke grabbed her arm. "We need to find a way out!" They ran deeper into the quarry, their flashlights barely cutting through the darkness. The ground beneath their feet felt alive, shifting and heaving as if the quarry itself was trying to consume them. Ahead, they saw a faint light, a crack in the rock wall. It was small, barely enough for a person to squeeze through, but it was their only chance. "This way!" Maya shouted. Luke went first, forcing his body through the jagged opening. Maya followed, the whispers and screams growing louder behind her. Just as she slipped through, she turned to see Gavin, his face contorted in terror, being dragged into the darkness by the spectral figures. "Gavin!" she screamed, but it was too late. On the other side of the crack, Maya and Luke found themselves in a narrow tunnel. The air was damp and cold, but the whispers had stopped. "Is it over?" Luke asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Maya shook her head. "I don't think so." The tunnel led them to a small cave, where they found an old journal and a rusted lantern. The journal belonged to one of the miners who had written about strange occurrences in the quarry, lights, voices, and shadows that moved on their own. The final entry read, "The quarry demands its due, none leave unclaimed." As Maya read the words aloud, the lantern flickered to life, casting an eerie glow. In its light, she saw the walls of the cave were etched with handprints. Hundreds of them. Luke backed away, his eyes wide with fear. "We shouldn't be here." But before they could move, the whispers returned, louder and more menacing. The walls seemed to close in, and the handprints began to bleed. Maya clutched the journal, her mind racing for a way to escape. But deep down, she knew the truth. The quarry had claimed Gavin, and now it wanted them too. And in the darkness, the earth groaned once more, sealing their fate. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Tap the bell to stay notified whenever we post a new video. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.